everybody, welcome back to Surrounded with Bourbon with me, Phil Crawford, aka Causeway Whiskey. This is episode 30 and today we are back in Ireland and we are looking at, I think, a still travel retail exclusive, and that is the Redbreast Cuatro Barriles. Sorry if I have absolutely ruined Spanish there for people around the world. So yes, Redbreast, probably it is seen to be one of the quintessential single pot still whiskies from Ireland, and for a long time this was probably my brand of choice, my true love of Irish whiskey in the Irish whiskey world. But when I really got into whiskey about 20 years ago, the whiskey world in Ireland was a lot smaller than it is now. You know, really bush mills, they only had their blends, the white label, the black bush, and then their 10, 12, 16 and 21 year old expressions. If you think about blended Irish whiskey, then there was Paddy's, there was Powers, Tullamore Dew. John Teeling with Cooley Distillery was, giving us single malt expressions like Locks and Tyrconnell, the Peat Connemara, and then Grenora single grain. But even those, you would kind of really have to search those whiskies out. They weren't easy to purchase. You really had to go to specialist stores. That is the Teeling and Cooley whiskies. And even the Jameson lineup was an awful lot thinner. Outside of regular Jameson, there was the 12-year-old Special Reserve, there was the Gold Reserve, the 18-year-old, and then the Rarest Vintage Reserve. And kind of standing in a field of its own, if you will, in the single pot still corner was Redbreast 12-year-old. And I first tried that at a tasting in Coleraine held by Fairley's Wines, and it was hosted by Jameson and Redbreast master blender himself, Billy Lighton. And I wasn't particularly good with descriptors back then, but one thing stood out, that this was definitely an oilier, spicier whiskey than anything that the Jamesons were offering. And so that Redbreast really caught my attention, and it sort of became one of my favourite Irish whiskies ever. And for the longest time, if someone was kind of new to Irish whiskey, it is the expression that I would tell people to go and check out. Fast forward to today though, and Irish whiskey has exploded with many different brands, many new distilleries. I think there's at least 50 now. And the number of expressions that you can find of Irish whiskey is phenomenal now compared to what it was 20 years ago. And that includes the Redbreast lineup as well. When I checked out the Redbreast website, it actually highlighted that there were at least 12 unique expressions now, including the Iberian series, which this is the 4th release of. That started with the Lustau. Then came the PX or Pedro Jimenez release, then came the Tawny Port release, then came this, and as of this month or last month we have had the Moscatel finish release. So now 5 expressions in the Iberian series of Redbreast. So the thing is, now that there's so many new distilleries and new brands that are doing their own interpretation of what pot still whiskey should be, I've actually found myself becoming a little less connected with the Redbreast brand. Certainly the 12-year-old core release is not one that I would 100% recommend for pot still style of whiskey. If anything, in the ideal lineup, I think that the Powers John's Lane 12-year-old is probably the one that I would really push people towards. And certainly within the Redbreast range, I think that it's hard to look past the 12-year-old cask strength. However, that being said, as I left Ireland to relocate here to Florida in 2024, I was going through duty free at the Loop there at Dublin Airport, and this was available, and I kind of couldn't really resist picking up a bottle just to see whether it was worth the fee, and whether it's actually worth recommending to other people to pick up when they're at Dublin or Cork airports. As the name suggests, Cuatro Barriles, there are 4 barrels, so could be a lot going on here. Will it be a winning combination? Well, let's crack on and see. So a little bit more about actually what's in the bottle, the liquid itself. Sorry, nearly spilled it all over the place there. So matured in a combination of 4 different cask types. There is American ex-bourbon, Spanish ex-sherry butts, Oloroso sherry butts. So the 2 kind of maturation cask styles that Redbreast are so kind of known for. Then there is also Portuguese ex-tawny port hogsheads. So in a sense this is probably similar to the tawny port release. The difference being is the 4th cask where they have used European virgin oak casks. So that would mean, at least on paper, that we can maybe expect that the spice is going to be dialed up a little bit. What is the mash bill? Well, it is 100% barley, but 60% of that is malted and 40% is unmalted, and that's what makes it a single pot still. I will kind of go into the definitions of single pot stills in an upcoming video with the Method of Madness single pot still, but that's that for now. Shall we crack on, see what we can get on the nose and the palate? Oh, before we do that actually, so this is bottled at 46%. I believe it is non-chill filtered, and it may be natural colour, but I do know that Redbreast occasionally do use some E150 to kind of try and stop batch variation of colours. So it's possible that this is in here. Apparently this is a limited release of 28,000 bottles, so I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. And it cost me €94 at Dublin Airport, which is about $99 or £77.50. So quite a bit more expensive than the regular 12-year-old. And it is also a non-edge statement release. So I know that the Lustau and the PX were kind of in their range of like 9 to 10 years old before they had the extra maturation. So probably something similar here. So yeah, let's crack on my nose, see what we get, see whether this is worth the investment. So the thing I noticed with this straight away is it is weirdly a little perfumey. It's quite floral, and then it moves to like citrus zests, so like a mix actually of orange, lemon and lime peel. Then there is vanilla cream and like tinned pineapple rings, so pineapple that's in that sort of syrup. Then you get like marzipan, panettone bread. There's actually like fresh blueberry in there as well, some pear. There's a little bit of coffee cake, and then just finally at the end there is some of that toasted oak and baking spices, so like cinnamon, nutmeg, clove, anise. So nose wise it's pretty good. Not as spicy as I thought it may have been with the virgin oak, but I'm not sure what the cask makeup is, like the ratio, so it could be that the virgin oak has just been a small smidgen, but I wouldn't say that it's really making its presence felt. Okay, let's get on with the palate, shall we? So the first thing I noticed about this, even with the extra ABV, is that it does feel a little thin. But on arrival, you're greeted with that typical pot still spice grip. It's that kind of like ground ginger, a little bit of black pepper, sort of cut hay as well, like dried hay. And there is actually definitely a bit of oak coming into play here as well initially. So let's go in for another sip, see what we get. All right, that tinned pineapple from the nose is definitely there. Covered in vanilla custard. There's Mr. Kipling Bakewell slices. So for anybody that doesn't know what that is, it's like a baked good that we get in the UK, and it was an almond sponge with plum and raspberry jam through the middle, and then covered in fondant icing. I used to love them as a kid. That sort of stem ginger now as well. Some milk chocolate. A bit of leather, and then right at the back again, there is definitely an oak spiciness, bit of tannin going on as well. Mouth does become a little dry. I'll have one more sip and then we'll go into the finish. So finish wise, I would say it's kind of medium in length. And you're definitely getting like toasted oak. There's clove, there's some like apple strudel in there, some black peppercorns as well. So what would I score this? I am going to give this a 6 out of 10. My overall thoughts, why have I scored it that way? Honestly, I don't think that this is really a massive improvement on the regular 12-year-old. In fact, of the Iberian series, I would say that the Tawny Port and the Lustau were much better. The extra ABV does help the mouth feel a little, and I guess it delivers a bit more flavour. But to be honest, I just feel as though this is maybe one barrel too many. I think it just feels a little confused. It's not really integrated like terribly well. You know, for the money, especially over here in the US at like $100 for this, you know, for an extra 20 bucks, you're going to be able to get the 12-year-old cask strength, and that is a much better Redbreast for the money. Which I would buy over this, and I would recommend that you would buy over this as well. You know, I think this is a one and done bottle. You know, once I've finished this, I don't think I would seek out to replace it. So yeah, there you go. That is my thoughts on the Redbreast Cuatro Barriles. Thank you very much for watching. As always, please, you know, like, share, throw a comment in, tell me what your favorite Redbreast expression is, if you have one. And yeah, thanks for watching along, and the next video will be something Scottish, so you can look forward to that. Anyway, have a great night everyone, and I will chat to you again. Slàinte.